Someday I'll be living in a big old city. What's not that? Where is it? Where'd she put the phone, folks? I don't understand. I just don't understand. All right, friend, what do we do with the phone? Keep them here. Ready? Ready? Where's the phone? Oh, this is so upsetting. I don't know, bro. Oh, there it is. I thought my dog was maybe using it to chat with his signal buddies. You know. He's a Republican, as we know. As we know, Republican dog. Let's go find you a treat. Next we do my homework. Why is it taking so long to upload? Okay, well. I'll give it another minute. Big gathering of atheist tribes. That's interesting. Is the atheist tribes like the name of a group? What am I doing? I'm going live on TikTok on the not main account. How am I currently uploading a video? Oh, okay. All these bros are trying to explain the military to me. Call it mill-splaining. It's so fun. It's so fun. Signing cult books. Now turn yourself around. Put camera. And no, we're not doing anything with the shop. Can't do anything with the shop. All right. I can't do anything about that one. I just have to let it upload. I just have to let it upload. So now I'm going to take the books out. Random strangers keep thinking they can tell me to put on more clothes. So I'm working on wearing less clothes. And everyone can just deal with it. Good morning. So this one time when I was 14 in a cult, my dad had this big argument with me because I was trying to listen to music while doing schoolwork. And like, it was their stupid Jesus music, right? And I was like, I have to have music to do my homework. Otherwise, I'm singing in my head and then I'm distracted. I felt so validated later when I read a sun sign book because our cult leader was obsessed with Linda Goodman. And I was like, if your Gemini child tells you they need music while they're doing their homework, believe them. And I was like, aha. Later I found out about ADHD. But anyway, it ended up in this big argument, right? Because our cult leader, who was called Mama Maria, who had taken over from the original guy, had said that like, it's impossible to multitask. So he was like, so you're saying she's a liar? And I'm like, Dad, I'm not saying she's a liar. I'm just saying, like, I need music while I do my homework. This somehow ended up with him making me stand in front of the whole commune and do math out loud while also singing out loud, which was not at all what we were talking about. So anyways, now I'm talking to 100,000 people on the internet while I do my homework. I don't care at all what my dad thinks about that. Oh gosh, man. So cults are always about appearance control, right? And my father's like quite the patriarch. So it was always, every time he would see me, and like they kicked me out at 15, right? So like it's all like, oh, you're getting too masculine. Oh, you're working out too much. And I was in the army and, oh, be careful. Guys are not going to like that. And finally, I just looked my dad in the face. I was like 23 years old. And I was like, hey, Dad, nobody's kicked me out of bed yet. And then he fucking never commented on my appearance again. And that, friends, is how you do it. I mean, I also basically don't see him, but there you go. Yep, I like to wear color. Color in times of tyranny is resistance. I woke up today and I had 1,000 comments on TikTok. The vet bros have found me. So, if you see me jumping platforms again soon, you'll know why. Okay, my setup here is not very good. Right into the box when we're done. That's what we're doing. Oh, yeah. Parents are fun. I mean, you're not a vet bro if you're not that guy, but don't be a vet bro. Like, for example, when I put on the most recognizable military sign in the world, don't ask me if I was in the military. By the way, you know how I blew Mr. Knitting Cult Lady's mind about what women bring to the fight? I showed him you can put these things on with earring backs. With earring backs. I just didn't tell him until he was out of the army. Wasn't going to give him that intel. Here we go. Twisty things that had to happen. And the other one I'm tired of is, well, if a woman can pull a guy who's 250 pounds out of combat, then I don't care about gender. No, sit down. First of all, we don't pull people out of live combat. We don't. We wait till we have control. And then we have buddy carries. We have litters. That 250-pound guy was going to be a two-man carry either way. But you know what he can't do? He can't fit through a little tiny hole. It's almost like we've been knowing that different people can do different jobs for a long time now. It's amazing. But since they decided you had to have a penis to do war, it's so funny because nobody says that to the 5'2" Asian dude that you can't be on this infantry team because you can't pull the biggest guy out of here. Nobody says that. The line that I'm the proudest of getting past the editors, it's in a chapter called "You're Not James Bond." This is when I'm signing up to go be one of the women on, oh, nope, it's not in James Bond. It's in Camp Followers. All right. Hey, LT, you know how you're always blabbing all that girl power shit? Sergeant First Class Krasinski, who we only called Sergeant K, strolled into our intelligence office in Kandahar, Afghanistan, waving his four-fingered hand in the air in my general direction, as if there were any question to whom he spoke. Sergeant K, I quipped, are you still pissed that nobody has been able to prove to me that they can do a push-up with their penis and therefore have fundamentally failed to defend any reason there should be a combat ban against women according to the Army's own physical standards? And was the first thing I did when I got to Harvard write a systematically researched takedown of everything that the Army says about women? Yes, it was. My paper was called Nice Girls Don't Join the Army. And I got a few points off for not citing my own military experience. So I have made the artistic choice in Culting of America to cite no one on military or Children of God experience. I'm the citation. I do have a 35-page bibliography, though, friends. It's been a 5-year research project. I thought they were going to take it out. My editor, she's strict with allowing only so much Daniela personality into the page. But she let me keep Jesus jammies for Mormon underwear in the book, in our Culting of America book. And she let me keep the penis line here. So did the other editor. So, they're just yeah, we're not editing anything you say the Army's saying. We're just going to go with it. Good morning, Massachusetts. I have a t-shirt that I sell that says Harvard is my favorite cult. And it's funny because Harvard goes up and down on popularity. Hey, you caught me live. Thank you. We worked very hard on Uncultured. We've worked even harder on Culting of America. I got to read, okay, y'all, I'm doing nothing but working on the book till forward. So we're going to be live most of the day. Okay. I got chapter 10 back and Justifies the Means from my co-writer. And I just have sort of only skimmed it, but I got to read the last boom, the big climax of the book paragraph. Oh, it was so good. It's so good. Fudge. This box is broken. And that's not good because I have to ship these books. I don't know what I'm going to do about it. I think there's one there on the floor. I feel terrible about the meeting where they want to deport U.S. citizens. I wish our government would do something. So y'all, another tip for like revolution with fiber arts, you can there are metal crochet hooks that are in small dominations and they're sharp like needles. That's how I make my creations stay together. I crochet the edges. Or that's how I put like fuzzy sleeves on a dress, right? But you can just like stick that into someone and they have to go to the hospital to get it removed because it's barbed. Ask me how I know. And that's because I did it to myself with a beading hook, which is like a tiny, tiny, tiny crochet hook. I had to go to the hospital to get it removed because it's barbed. Yeah, it's the lifting fallen soldiers. It's just such a misogynistic argument. And it doesn't matter. Like they're going to move the goalpost no matter what you do, right? So you got to be faster, run harder, jump higher. And I did. And then they would just say, oh, but she's not a woman. Which was really hard for them, cognitive dissonance wise, because they looked like Barbie. But they have to tell themselves that, this Barbie running past them on the hill in bright pink shoes and collecting the souls of misogynist men's souls dying to keep in her happy place. And they couldn't let themselves believe that. By the way, Knitting Cult Baby and I went for a run together yesterday. And I told her about the sounds of the misogynist's souls dying when you pass them on the hill. She thought it was great. And then she proceeded to beat me in the run and brag about how she was beating a marathon runner. So I don't know that it has a name. They're just metal crochet hooks. And if you get a set of them, like the ones that are like half of them will be very sharp tipped. The smaller, like the thinner ones. It's intended to, go right through things like cloth, skin. I also was trying to take my fake nail off yesterday, and I basically pulled half my nail off in one direction and then half my nail off in the other direction. I'm not scared of Donald Trump. I pull off my own fingernails for fun. What's going on? I like how like half of you all are trying to lecture me about what's going on in the country. And I'm like, yes, we're here with a cult scholar talking about national politics. Things have gone wrong in the country. Like we're there. The cult leader is taken over. Culting of America comes out January 20th, 2026, 1 year anniversary of us all living in a cult. And none of us know how this is going to go. Like I'm 37 years old and my crystal ball is cracked. Like, yeah, it's bad. And you know what? At some point, there will be a tipping point, right? We're not just going to sit here and starve to death, for example, because the rest of the world doesn't want to sell us food anymore because our president's a jerk. Like at some point, 340 million people will remove the tyrant. We don't know what that point's going to be. We don't know how many people are going to have to unalive for it. This is like, we're just in it now. We had a chance to not be on this crazy train ride, but now we're on it. And everyone keeps acting like there's going to be this big end goal. Like that's why I think the martial law thing is just like, by the way, I'm so upset that I'm already going to be a psyop for Halloween because if not, I would be guerrilla warfare. And Mr. Knitting Cult Lady would be martial law. A dude named Marshall. Like, just like, if you don't know how to spell martial law or guerrilla warfare, you don't need to be worrying about it. That's just borrowed anxiety. You're not going to be part of the first movement. By the time you learn how to spell it, we'll slot you in where you need to be. How's it going here in Mexico? Yeah, I mean, we haven't been affected yet, but everyone is saying the ports are empty. Like, I lived in Seattle for 5 years. I know what that means. It's gonna suck. It's gonna suck. Did I ever tell you all about how when we were in Afghanistan and we would have like over the border incursions into Pakistan because there's actually no lines in the sand? And this was almost always my unit, the helicopters, right? And then they would respond by just being like, okay, your trucks can't come through our gates anymore. And all of a sudden, the only food we could get for 30,000 people living on this base was what the Air Force could fly in. So overnight, there's no fresh stuff, right? Nothing. And this went on for 2 months one time. And then finally we walked in and there was a pile of grapes. I was so excited. And then I just sat there in absolute unfathomable disgust as American soldiers who hadn't had a fruit in 2 months complained about the grapes having seeds. Woo! Is it surprising that we lost? People, and then these people try to come millsplain me, right? They're like, oh, whatever, we wouldn't fight you in urban combat. We would just nuke the city, or we would just take the city down from the air. Oh, yeah, I know. But this is why you got to go talk to the intelligence officer, because you didn't think it all the way through. You didn't think about what happens when you come down from that air. Where are you going to live, you who just went total war on your whole country? Where are you going to get gas to go back up for your next attack? Where are you going to get food? You that just went total war on your country. They're being silly koalas. Yeah, where are you going to land? Like, why do people feel like they need to tell me they don't agree with me on everything? Like, you shouldn't agree with anyone on anything, on everything. That would be groupthink. I told everyone there was going to be group punishment if anyone mentioned martial law in the comments. I was going to turn off the comments. And there's nothing you can do to infuriate angry white men like turn off your comments. Love it. Makes them clutch their man pearls so hard. And so then all of a sudden, people were like policing the comments. So then I got to make a video and be like, see, this is called, one of my favorite terms in cult studies, performative regulation. I lived in Seattle for 5 years and Mr. Nanny Cult Lady was stationed at JBLM. What would you like to know? I can tell you there are 18 bases in Washington state and the most veterans that have gotten out of the military and stayed there. Be funny when they think they could take the blue states. It'd be super funny. And the other thing, like when I tell people like, we need to slow down, right? And people go directly from like, okay, well, maybe not the military, but what about the police? We don't have the police in America. Where are you concerned about specifically? What municipality are you concerned about specifically? And the reason I'm walking you through this is because it's very important. There's no hierarchy where there's like the police, the way you have the Department of Defense, right? There is no steering wheel that a tyrant can just grab. And I believe, even if he started federalizing the police right now and everyone is on board, I think that it would take longer than 4 years to federalize the police. So like, once again, like the worst, like he wants it all, right? I've been saying this since January 20th. Like he is going for full tyrant, right? Say what you want about them, but Mustache Man and Stalin's name are said with gravitas. And my wish for Donald Trump is that his name will be said with derision forever. Because he tried to go full them, but he's doing it very poorly because he's not smart. Yeah, there's no Arab prince in his private army. Y'all, you would need 100 million soldiers to invade America. 100 million. Our army is 2 million. And still, the 100 million soldiers would be likely to lose against people on their home turf. Like, this was another mill-splaining they tried. They're like, well, the military, it's also their home turf. No, it's not, Buddy O'Bear. There is not one single active duty military unit where everybody's not all mixed up together. You might have one or two people from that place you're fighting, but you don't know it as good as the people who live there know it. It's a silly koala mistake to make that your intelligence officer will hopefully tell you about. Yeah, he's trying. He's trying to get rid of posse comitatus, which says you can't use the military on Americans. He's trying to be a tyrant and a dictator. I don't think it's going to even get out of the courts. I don't think, like, he's trying. At some point, we will riot. At some point, we will strike. How many bodies that is going to take? Unknown. Only the veterans are speaking because the active duty can't talk about it. Literally not allowed to be political in uniform. And they've been getting a lot of reminders about that. Donald Trump is the only president in history that has had to come out and be like, you know, you're not allowed to talk bad about me or I can put you in jail. Silly koalas, because it sounds cute and you get kicked off platforms for just telling people they're silly. Like, their anti-bullying stuff is ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous in that it only hampers creators trying to have discussions about hard topics. I mean, y'all, I grew up in Latin America. I can easily imagine a felon being our president. I can easily imagine this is what I've been saying since the beginning. Like, everyone's going straight to Germany and just missing dictatorship era Brazil right there. It's right there. What? I know Keg's Breath is making a joke out of our military in front of the whole world. I know. I told you to tell him that. I told you to tell him not to take the job. Come here. No. Fine. He used to be his whole personality that he wouldn't go on camera, but now that he's a Republican, he's just insisting that he has a makeup station. We're fighting about it. But anyways, back to the silly koala thing. It's basically like there's nothing more enraging that I can do to a man that thinks they understand conflict. Is call them a silly koala and then explain very nicely why their way is silly. The other way is turning off the comments. Oh, they get so mad. And like, nobody owes you a discussion. Creators are allowed to put whatever they want on their page and then just not engage with you. And when people are like, why did you turn off the comments? I'm like, because I didn't consent to having that conversation anymore. And if you come find me on another, I just delete it. As soon as someone says, you turned off the comments, so delete. I don't even read the rest of that comment. This is the puppy. This is knitted cult puppy. He looks adorable, but he's basically my MAGA father-in-law. Yeah. Boy, that hate money, paying for my summer vacation. You're much appreciated. By the way, y'all, if you ever want shortcuts to know if you're like on the right side, as much as that can be, like, we're not in their groups telling them we hate them. You know, yeah, 101st. Yeah. My dog is MAGA. We're working on it. We're trying to get the crack and the brainwashing. Yeah, no. People have gotten very confused about freedom of speech and think that like people owe them discussions. Like, I owe you nothing. If you pay me money, you get a book. That's what I owe you. That's the social contract here. Otherwise, like, this is my space. I get to curate it however I want. And you can be here or not be here because it's not a group. There's no membership. I'm not the leader of anything. I'm literally just curating a content page. And women don't owe you shit. Oh, I was going to go live with the other guys. Tell them to come over here. So that account's being shut down. So, how does someone get into military intelligence? You join the military and you run very, 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 very fast. Or you go to ROTC. This is for officers. If you're enlisted, you just have to get good enough test scores to be an analyst. And every single analyst I ever had was wavered for their intelligence scores. So it's not even hard. Oh, yeah. I think the one thing you want analysts to be smart. But no, we went for run fast. I lost a soldier right before a deployment because he was too fat for the Army. And his job description was literally sit in chair for 12 hours a day, analyzing things. Like, y'all, the military does this stuff to themselves. Like this whole, like, 25% of America is not healthy enough to be in the military. Well, maybe if you updated your height and weight charts since World War II, you wouldn't create this problem for yourself. Maybe if you didn't invent ridiculous physical standards in the first place. It's so funny because you can ask male soldiers, like, does the PT test have anything to do with actual soldiering? And they'll be like, no, it's so stupid. You never run 2 miles in combat, blah, blah, blah. Lift the heavy things. But as soon as you mention women, they're like, they've got to be able to pass those standards. And then civilian women start carrying water for the patriarchy by repeating it. Oof. Hey. You know what? I'm not even going to merge you two today. I'm just going to tell you all that this account is going away very, very, very soon. So please come follow me on Hating Cult Lady. The main one that has my uniform picture. I know this is confusing. Everyone I know tested well enough and for intelligence ended up in transport. Yeah. Right. It's funny when I speak 3 languages and I got the second highest score on their language aptitude test in like their recorded history of this test. And I went to Afghanistan twice. At the time, Africa was predicted to be the next conflict center, right? Didn't turn out that way, but that was the prediction. I speak English, Portuguese, and Spanish. I could learn French in 3 months at DLI. And then I would, every country in Africa, except Ethiopia and Eritrea, speak one of those languages as one of their official languages. Like, anyway, I had in my officer school class, there was a guy who had been a 19-year Korean linguist who was being sent to field artillery. Yeah, I mean, I've been saying this about the EOs. Like, he has a 98% failure rate now. Like, he has an A+ in losing. Literally has an A+ in being a loser. And people are like, why aren't you more upset? It's not going to get out of court. This is what Biden did to help us before he had to hand the reins to a tyrant. He appointed a lot of judges. I was in the 159th CAB, Combat Aviation Brigade. The unit that no longer exists. I wrote a book about how not great it was. Also, they almost certainly wouldn't have asked a man that question. have just clutched their mat pearls, been like, yeah, 100%. But they wanted to check me. It's called competency checking. It's funny because we get to see it when me and Mr. Knitting Coat Lady do things together. He is literally the veterans that the vet bros like have their wet dreams about, that like MAGA have their wet dreams about. So he's a good weapon. All right, Rakasan, I'll give it to you. No, Juan, I'm going to keep projecting. I get to do whatever I want in my house with my own page, selling the book that I wrote about my own life. And I'm sorry if you think I'm being too loud. No, I'm not. Nobody went out and found you and brought you here. But we appreciate your hate comment money. You literally are typing dollars into my bank account. And this is how I make my living. You silly koala. Okay, gotta go get the other box of books. No one's buying my book. This is just a government psychological operation. Yeah. I just got my book in a photo with Michelle Obama's book recommended by Goodreads, but nobody's buying it. Not at all. You see, it's funny when they try to mansplain me, right? Because like I've read my book and they haven't. And the first rule of war is know your enemy. Bro, there's a reason I'm the second most Googleable woman veteran alive. Google me. I dare you. Daniela Mestenek Young. However you would like to spell that. But honestly, even if you just Google knitting coat lady, you're going to see. You picked the wrong woman to underestimate today, because I guarantee you I have more military experience in one of my ovaries than you have in your entire shrivelly little man body, Juan. And I promise you that both of these pussies have more combat time than you do. Have a day. Try to pull your head out of your fourth point of contact. TikTok programmers didn't think about military insults. No, they didn't. We are good at them. I didn't even have to tell him to clutch his hand pearls because I knew he was already doing it. Chris, I made history for women as being one of the first women on the deliberate ground combat team. You can Google me, but I'm not going to do your competency checking thing. I don't do people's homework. No. You know the reason that the men in the military still can't have beards and can't put their hands in their pockets, but the women can have braids and nail polish? It's because none of the men filed an official request, while the women filed hundreds. I think they thought the women were going to file it for them. And now they're silly koalas. I keep forgetting about y'all. Oh. No, take them all out of the box. Do this the right way. It's always like they're so scared right now. Like Pete Kegsbreath, just shilling for feminists. Just put the combat arms branch standards equal male. Let me tell you something about women who choose to go into the infantry. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see the videos. Active duty women, please have fun with beating them, and please take videos. We need this in our lives. We need this in our lives. Yeah, well, I told the story about women in the infantry and it became a best-selling book. So sit down. It also became the first book by a woman veteran on the mass market. Because we don't care about women in the military. Because they're a little bit trans. They're a little bit gender traitors. We don't like them. TSA agent didn't want to believe that I was an Army captain despite my government issued ID card because I was pretty. You watched a video of women breaking the men's record already? When Mr. Knitting Cult Eddie and I first got together, deployed to Afghanistan, we had nothing better to do, so we worked out a lot. And we were going to do a PT test on the raw scale, on the male scale, right? Literally, every single one of my male colleagues pulled me aside and told me that I had to let him win. And like, how fragile is your fucking masculinity? Like, me running fast, which is the thing the Army cares about, turned out to be such a good misogyny filter. Because like, if you wanted to date Captain Barbie, you either had to not give an F, not have your masculinity tied to your run time, or you had to be really, really fast. Because you're going to get asked by every single person. And I literally warned my brother when he was trying to come to my unit. I was like, you're going to get asked if you run fast than Captain Mestenek. Guess what Mr. Knitting Cult Lady's faster time than me is? 1 second. And we never got around to doing the full PT test. It's drama that you can read about in the book. But we did a push-up competition, right? And it used to be, I would do 80 push-ups in my PT test, which is the max for men. No. Yeah, it was the max for men. So I would get to 65, which was the max for women without stopping. And then I would do 5 at a time and kind of like take my pauses in between and get to 80 and then just quit because now I'm just maxed out the male. And so Mr. Nankale is on the ground. He's doing push-ups and he does 90, right? And then he just gets up and goes, beat that man. And I was like, what if I just, called baby here, right? I can do it with a broken heart. What if I didn't stop? What if I just did push-ups until I fell on my face? So I did 90 push-ups. Then I stuck out my tongue at him. And then I did 2 more. And then I fell on my face. And 9 months later, we found out I tore a ligament in my wrist, but I fucking beat him. It's going to be so fun to watch. So fun. Women in combat arms have been saying for decades, bring it, about PT test standards. Fucking bring it. We have been saying it for decades. And y'all have been little baby man cowards. Now you finally brung it. Like I said, I didn't have Pete Kegsbreath shilling for feminists on my 2025 bingo, but he did us quite a favor. I cannot wait. TikTok, you can get my link in my bio also. You can get it on YouTube. The main reason that women, number one, think they can't do push-ups is because you were taught that by society, that you have to do a different kind of push-up because you're a woman. That's silly. The other second reason is because you don't know how to lock out your core. So I'm going to teach you, okay? So what you do is you get down in the push-up position, right? And then you try as hard as you can to do a crunch. And that's how you lock out your core. And then you just push out push-ups until your arms or your wrists give out. And if you do, I was here, right? So you're down in the push-up position, right? The full push-up position, feet, hands, and you just try to do a crunch. And that will lock out your core. And then you just push as hard and fast as you can until you can't anymore. And if you do, you do 1 push-up, do 1 push-up. Tomorrow do 2. The next day do 3. And there's these push-up triangle things you can do too. But push-ups is the easiest way to get your arms cut. And it's so fast to get in shape. That's what I love about push-ups. In officer school, we had to do, because officer school is just 12 weeks of hazing, right? It's just Fort Benning school for boys. If you can put up with the hazing for 12 weeks, we'll give you a commission. So we had to we're standing in line and you're going to go into the chow hall, the cafeteria, and then you're going to come out. So going in, there was a pull-up bar, and you had to do 1 pull-up for each week that we were in officer school. And going out, you had to do a chin-up, and then you had to do 1 chin-up for each week that we're in officer school. It's 12 weeks, right? If you couldn't do it, then the person behind you would assist you. But they would not do it the way the rest of the Army does it, by your feet. They would just come stick their hands on your waist. And I was not having it and going to turn around and deck somebody. So I had to graduate from officer school being able to do 12 pull-ups and 12 push-ups or chin-ups. And I don't know if you've all seen this video about this woman who's just like knocking out like 20 pull-ups, and all the guys are just standing there getting angrier and angrier, and all the women are like cheering. Anyway, when I was a 24-year-old Army captain in the best shape of my life, competing on the 10-mile running team and about to win a marathon, though I don't know that yet, I go to Brazil, and in Rio, they have all these like exercise equipments just along the beach. It's just a healthier culture. So anyways, went there and knocked out like 20 pull-ups and drew a huge crowd, and it was fun. My desk is not a good talker. We're at my kitchen counter right now. Yeah, I mean, there's one reason that they do not want women on combat teams, and that is because we tend to put a damper on the raping and the pillaging and the spoils of war. That's it. Oh, sorry, 3rd reason. It was also why they didn't want openly gay people in the military, because then you can't play what they literally call gay chicken with each other. Yeah. I've decided they come at me, I'm going to start telling their secrets. I am a DEI angry queen. And you know what all? I just found out another weapon for our arsenal. They can't hear you if they have blue hair. If you have blue hair, they literally cannot hear you. So it's like a super plus for our side. Like, I mean, they're so bad at war. They're just so bad at it. I mean, that's what happens when you're in a cult, obviously. But like, yikes. Yeah, my ego. Not all of us aspire to be humble. So when you show me your presidential coin and your best-selling book and with a chapter published in Rolling Stone, then you get to tell me that my ego is too much. You show me mine, I'll show you. You show me yours, I'll show you mine. Bring it. Oh, your Harvard master's degree. I'll throw that one in there too. Yeah, they went bye-bye. They didn't want to get to the Hello Kitty part. They're like, oh crap. I fucked with the wrong woman today. Yes, you did, sir. And they try to be like, oh, well, I don't know who you are. Then, silly koala, why are you here in my house listening to me talk? This is a one-way transmission. I get to ignore you. You have to listen to me. Why are you here if you don't know who I am? It's my new thing when AA is like, well, I never heard about. Well, if you never heard about it, why are you talking? If you have nothing to add to the negative stories, which is what we're talking about right now, why are you talking? It's not hard. Post one question on any of your social media platforms asking people about their negative experiences with AA, and I promise you, they will tell you. And then what you do is you believe them. And you understand that your good experiences are just as important as their negative experiences. They're not more important. They're the same amount important. Because you are not a special, unique. You are unique, but you are not special. Your life is not worth more than other people's lives. Steppers don't like to be reminded about that. Yeah, we talk about this, the believing people. We talk about this on our podcast, Hey White Women, that I do with White Woman Whisperer. And like, I read this in So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijoma Oluo. And she says, one thing you can do is like when Black people tell you something's about race, believe them. And it's just like, just do it, white people. You can do it right now. You can just flip that switch in your head that instead of jumping to defend, you just believe them because they live it. The same way, white ladies, that you want to just be believed about your experience as a woman. Hey, mom, I made it. I don't know where I got this top. It's like a raw top. Oh, and by the way, I was like jonesing for country music, but I've given it up because of the racism. But then I was like, but when you have a question, when you have a problem in America, you ask Black women. And so I just found Black women's country music. And there's a song by this woman named Sasha. Hey, mom, I made it. And it's so good. And I just bawl. And I sent it to my mom. It's so good. No, just believing someone does seem like the best practice because they're telling you about their experience in the world, an experience that you don't have. If you are a white person and a Black person is telling you something about race, that's a perspective you don't have. Your choice is to believe them or not have the perspective. Like, that's fine. Limit your world. They know when we are racist. We don't know, but they know because they're the ones living it. It's the same thing with women. Throughout time, it has been proven over and over again that women do not lie about being assaulted. The numbers are very, very, very small. Meanwhile, men are lying, raping murderers. And yet we're always like, you don't just believe the woman right away. No, you do. That doesn't mean you remove all proof or search, but you believe women. And I had a plan for when I was a commander, which, I would have been, but you got to read the book. And I was like, I'm going to, every Friday brief, right? When they tell you they can't control behavior in the military, it's so ridiculous. Nobody walks on the grass in the military, right? Like, so every Friday brief, every 25-year-old captain has their people in front of them and tells them things like, don't drink and drive, don't sleep with someone else's spouse, and don't fry bacon naked. And I was like, I expect one of my lawful orders will be, I expect you to be able to prove consent every single time you engage with another person. And if this comes across my desk, he said, she said, he said, she said, and you can't prove consent, I'm immediately referring this for investigation. Now they get immediately referred anyway, because turns out once the court said the military could be sued for sexual assault, suddenly we could take the decision to prosecute major crimes away from commanders. Funny how that works. So according to the Department of Defense's own numbers, less than 1% of cases have been found to have no validity. That's a statistically insignificant number. Women are not lying about being assaulted. It's literally every single one of us, and y'all are the ones doing it. Men are lying when they say women can't be in combat because they would sacrifice their lives to defend them, because obviously you would not. You're not doing it now. There are places on military bases called Rape Alley, and you boys are doing nothing about it. You wouldn't sacrifice your life to save anyone. And oh, by the way, soldiers are supposed to sacrifice their lives to save each other. It's a basic part of our job. Phaedra, Greek mythology, right? Phaedra in Greek mythology is a woman who lies about being assaulted. Now, footnote, almost all Greek mythology is made up to explain fathers and brothers and family members raping high-level women. Okay? So in reality, she probably didn't lie about it. And there's a great Phaedra retelling that shows that. Anyway, okay. In the famous mythology, she lies. And there are two women in Greek mythology who lie. And yet every single male deity and hero is a lying, raping murderer. But y'all want to talk about Phaedra. Sit down. Use your energy to get your buddy to stop raping women. Yes, I'm recording. I'm streaming on 3 accounts. YouTube, I have my account. If you're here, you need to follow me on my other account because this one is going away. And we will be on account 7 as soon as I get my act together and make a new backup. Yeah, not all men, but always a man. But it is all men. Until all men are loudly rejecting grape culture, it's all men. All of them. What are you all doing about it? You men that think we need you to protect us. But yet 1 in 4, 1 in 3 women. This is how I explained feminism to my husband. He at one point said the absolutely ridiculous statement out loud that he thought that I cared more about feminism than our marriage, which is such a man thing to say. And I told him, babe, feminism is not men against women. It is me and you against our girl child having a 1 in 3 chance of being assaulted before she gets to college. And as soon as I start talking about being in a female body in the military, people show up to nicely educate me that men get assaulted too. And you know what? Please tell them to come add their more powerful voices to our fight. I don't want to hear one more goddamn word about male on male rape in the military until all of y'all are using that energy to talk about the women. Because you know one thing? The men all get sexually assaulted too, and they pass it down. They do it to the next person. You know who doesn't do that? The women. This is why men shouldn't be in the military. They're way too hysterical and emotional. Ridiculous. I'm sorry, if you can't keep yourself from sacrificing your life because she's pretty, maybe you don't need to be a soldier. War is a serious business and should be done by serious professionals. Yes, they use mythology as an example all the time. Like, you literally cannot talk about sexual assault or harassment in the military without them being like, what about false reporting? And like, if you're an active duty military leader right now, please shut that down. It's just misogyny that you're allowing them to yell out loud. Fewer than 1% of cases by the DoD's own numbers have been found to have no validity. Women are not falsely reporting. And what I always said is, like, if someone came to me and said, this guy assaulted me, and then I brought the guy in and he said, no, she's making it up. You know what my first question is? Well, what the F did you do to her? We need the rest of this story because, as we know, statistically, women do not do this. So what's the rest of this story? What did you do to her? One of these days I'll read y'all that Harvard paper I wrote, just systematically taking down everything. Yeah, the last numbers that were done by Wounded Warrior Program estimated that 44% of women who wear the uniform are assaulted. And I mean, we all know it's 99% because it's everyone we know. And this is why I'm going to make the rape dress at some point, which is going to be So think Taylor Swift Enchanted, right? But it's going to be the bodice is going to be crocheted out of 550 cord. The straps are going to be something super military. I'm going to paint 44% of the bodice blood red. And then I'm going to ask all of you ladies who have ever worn a uniform in this country at any time to send in several strips of your uniform, and one of them have your story written on it, however you would like to write it. This is going to be a growing exhibit in the women's memorial, if it's, still there. So to show the difference, right? 44% of the bodice, but then the actual stories, I'm going to attach one strip of uniform with one piece of blood red tulle. And I'm going to make it obviously giant. And then there will be a train that can continue on so that like when visitors come through, they can find a scrap of uniform and they can write their story and get some red tulle and tie it on. And she's going to have a ranger tab, and we're going to just make a MST medal, a military sexual trauma medal, that she will be wearing. Yeah, I mean, if you look at 3-star or lower reviews of Unculture, you will literally not go far before you see someone say, what was she expecting? Does she expect us to feel sorry for her? She knows she signed up to work with dangerous, angry men. Is that how we talk about male soldiers? Because I thought we talked about duty and honor and respect and loyalty and not fratriciding your sisters in arms. And you know what? The military is really, really, really good at preventing fratricide when they want to. I could end rape on any military base in 3 days. 3 days. Yeah, so that's your answer now for when they say men get assaulted too. Tell them, thanks, we know. Please tell them to come here and add their more powerful voices to our fight. Oh, I'm glad you like the dress. Okay. Package these up later. I have to transport them. Oh, I'm so not a rush today. I guess I'll work till 4. Our culture very much dances around men's behavior as though they were worth more than women. I mean, they literally just started using female crash test dummies last year, or in 2023, as well as testing period products with blood and not water. And then male non-period havers have been telling us for generations that we're crazy. And they were using water. Yeah. This is like the male engineers at NASA telling Sally, I'm blanking on her last name because now I'm just thinking Sally Hemings, telling that astronaut to take out her tampon to see if she could pee better. Apparently they were so embarrassed, they classified this stuff for 25 years. And by the way, it's illegal to classify stuff just because it's embarrassing. It's specifically illegal. Okay, now I have to pick up stitches on this side. Mustang Sally. Yeah, they also sent her for 7 days with 100 tampons and asked her if that was enough. And then you tell this story and modern day bros try to mansplain it, right? They try to be like, well, it's a good idea. If you get stuck up there, let me tell you what, if you're not resupplied with food and water, them tampons not gonna matter. y'all silly koalas never think about the logistics because you're just so hopped up on mansplaining. And this is why you will lose. It's like, Matt, I've told you all this before, but like men in the military made up a fact. They made up a fact that women need access to running water every 3 days because periods, as though we just started having periods since running water has been invented. So they made up that fact and then they wrote that into their handbooks that you have to provide women with bathrooms and running water every 3 days. And then they used that to say, this is why women can't be in combat. They also think that blood sniffing dogs can smell periods. Like, it's really embarrassing. It's really embarrassing how hysterical and emotional men are. And it's just another reason why they shouldn't be in the military. Like, it's so ridiculous. So ridiculous. Like, these men haven't won a war in generations. Why are we still letting them be in charge? Oh, do I have a tip for pull-ups? I mean, just do one at a time. If you do a pull-up every time before you eat, you'll be doing 12 pull-ups in 12 weeks. Yeah, rescue dogs can only find that sugar. So crazy. And by the way, ladies, in case you ever wondered if anyone else can smell it, they can't. They've done tests on this. You can smell it because it's your body. That's it. Speaking of which, I should show you all the children's book that I hopefully will soon be selling. I'm sorry. Let me move the redhead stepchildren to this side so I don't keep ignoring. Okay, so my body is sacred. It's not out yet, but when it's out, I'm going to have copies to sell. And it's for all of us that are first generation parents to teach our children that their bodies are amazing. And there's one page that's great. I might blow this up and put this as a poster in my house. If that made you uncomfortable, you're in the wrong place. So, and that's going to be my test for how good my children's book market is. So I can decide if it's worth investing $25,000 to make Mommy, I Lost My Smile. When people ask me things like, are you worried people are going to steal your ideas? I'm like, no. I know how expensive it is to make a children's book. I thought that said I had grifted my best friend, and I was like, oh, it says gifted. So when I tell Jen to the army, you should call me crying. Thank you. She was so validated after reading your story. Thank you so much. I've been asked by people, like, what do other women veterans feel about your book? And I'm like, all the ones that I've seen read it are just like, yeah, this is it. This is like reading my life. Get out of my journal. And there's not like a political divide in that. Although certainly many more liberal women read my book than conservative. No, it says gifted. It was just my eyes. It was just my eyes. Yeah, the military tests medicines on their soldiers all the time. They tested smallpox on us. I made a video about this and it literally got deleted. Anyway, that's why the whole soldiers being like, you can't make me get a shot, it's political, was like, this is BS. You've never been able to decide what gets stuck into your blood in the U.S. Army. Mr. Knitting Cult Lady literally can never donate blood because he's had so many crazy things injected into his body. I'm probably not going to be in Austin, Texas. I don't know where I got this top. I've had it for a very long time. I think I'm going to cut it up and turn into a jacket pretty soon because it is too tight. More about the blue hair. Yeah, MAGA can't hear you when you have blue hair. So like, it's really perfect, especially if you're colluding. They can't hear you if you have blue hair. They're convinced that Democrats are not armed. Like, y'all, even in the revolution apocalypse fantasies going on, like, the people win. The people win. Get my circle. If the military were to fire one shot against an American citizen in our political climate right now, I think we would freaking lose it. All right, so these were the sleeves. Okay, so I bought this thing in a thrift store. It was like a long sleeve crop top tie shirt, right? So I cut the sleeves off and I put like short sleeve purple sleeves and purple around the neck. And I gave that to like one of my bartenders. But then this is just one of the sleeves that I cut off. And I'm making another top for me. It's going to be like this. And it's going to have sleeves that go to different levels of purple. And I still have the other sleeve. Silk. It is silk. All right. So y'all have asked me how I attach things to fabrics, right? So like a crochet hook can go through most fabric. It'll just go right through. So then all I'm doing is putting single crochets around the edge. And then I can come here and I could just keep crocheting sleeves on, which I do sometimes. And what I do a lot is that then I come here and I pick up stitches and put them on my knitting needle. And now I'm knitting right onto the thing. This came about because I was doing the cult coats. I was doing coats out of this stuff. And I was sewing the hems together. But then if you make a mistake, it's really hard to take it out. Like a lot of times I sew right through the armhole because I'm me. And so I started crocheting them together instead so that you could just pull it out because that's how crochet works. And then I realized like, oh, you can crochet things together. And that's how I came up with the scarf again, etc., etc. And now I'm just really into just reinventing my clothes. So, I've been on a journey to heal my body image after cults and the army and skinny worship and having an eating disorder that I didn't know about for 20 years until my readers told me in my terrible book that doesn't sell at all. And I felt like my last thing I was hanging on to, like reading Fearing the Black Body and understanding how much it's tied into like white supremacy, but also pedophilia was like really good for me. But then I was like kind of still just giving myself the right to just a little bit starve because I really like my wardrobe and I have such cool clothes. And then I had to call myself out on that bullshit because I was like, Daniela, you make clothes. So like I literally have a pair of bell bottoms that I got in Argentina right before COVID and when I was at my absolute skinniest. And so they clearly didn't fit me anymore. And so I literally cut them in half, front to back, and then put a strip of granny squares that match the color scheme down the side and then stitch it back together. And like, I can do that as many times as I need to if my size changes. Yeah. So now I've kind of been on this journey of like just returning my clothes into different things. Like I had this purple dress, like sheath dress that I wear that didn't comfortably fit me anymore. So I turned it around, I cut it down the back, I added funky yarn, and it's called the dress again. Now it's a jacket. So yeah, I'm just slowly doing that. And this weekend there is a neighborhood yard sale in the really rich people's neighborhood. Mr. Knitting Coat Lady is not happy that I saw the sign. Oh, thanks. The red and green and orange piece reminds you of a phoenix. It's lovely. I think I'm a little bit of a phoenix. I've had many lives. Man, my mods are doing good work because I'm getting not that much hate for wearing a combat badge. Man, when I first started my speaking career, I had this pink dress that I crocheted myself. Now it's a crop top. And I would always be like, yep, I'm speaking wearing a dress I crocheted myself and a combat badge that I earned myself. And the amount of people, oh my God, we went to an American Legion, Mr. Knitting Coat Lady and I both, and we were just asked to come tell them our stories. And so we put together a little flyer that we called Captain and Mr. Young, Love and War and Helicopters. And the amount of blue-haired men that walked up to me, captain's bars pinned to my pink dress, combat badge pinned to my pink dress, most recognizable military symbol in America, walked up to me and said, ma'am, I saw the flyer, but they got it wrong. It said Captain and Mr. Young. Yeah, I'm the captain. He's the Mr. Mr. is what you call warrant officers. Like, he is a soldier too. It's actually my funnest way to reveal people's like internalized sexism to them. And this one is not political at all, right? So they will find out Mr. Knitting Coat Lady is a veteran, which is not hard. He looks exactly like what you think a MAGA veteran would look like. But he wears a hat that says Foxtrot Tango Delta. So what was I just saying? Somebody help me remember. Oh yeah. So they will be like verbally filleting him because they're just so obsessed with him being a veteran and how amazing he is. And then at some point he'll be like, yeah, Daniela served too, or I'll say, and he'll be like, and it always goes like this. Oh, you are in the army too? Oh, that's so cool. Did you outrank him? And there's no part of their brain that can fathom that the answer is yes. So then when I say yes, they're like, what? Like, did he have to call you ma'am? And then I just very slowly lean in and say, sometimes he still does. Also, boomers think it's appropriate to walk up to millennial women who are veterans and say, they didn't make captains that look like you back in my day. And I have so much fun shutting that shit down. I try to be like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, my generation, no, sir. My generation is saying to you, we're not taking that shit from you anymore. They did make captains that look like that in your day. Y'all just were so fragile with your masculinity that you didn't let them in to become captains. That's the truth, sir. And for some reason, I don't get invited to speak to the American Legion that often. Who would have thought? Oh, still, literally. This was the first Veterans Day. Last year was the first Veterans Day. I've been in the military since 2009. 2024. Not since, but I started. So I've been a soldier and a veteran since 2009. 2024 is the first year when I asked for my free 12-cent drip coffee at Starbucks. The Navy veteran just gave it to me and didn't say, oh man, this isn't for the spouses. And I didn't have to say, hey, women have been serving on active duty for 100 and however many years. You can listen to me talk for hours if you want, because well, after I do this, we're gonna have a break because I have to like take a shower and eat and stuff. But then, oh no, I'm not taking a shower because Nitty called baby says she wants to run after. Then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna be editing chapter 5. Isolation. Isolation. I think it's horrible that Republicans voted to deport U.S. citizens. Like, I think he's trying to be a tyrant, as I have been saying since day one. Apparently, I don't validate people's fears enough. Yeah, so the new book comes out in, when you see my live and then see a video of mine right after, that's AI. Maybe the biggest conspiracy in America is that y'all think devices are listening to you, and they're not. They're just data pinging you. We give away all of our information on the internet, so much more than we talk about. Yeah, I know. I have this part in Un-American, which is the book I'll release after Culting of America, where I have to do a country brief. Like I have to brief all the soldiers going over to Afghanistan, like tell you everything about this country. And so I start off with a bang, as I like to do. I'm Daniela, friendly neighborhood S2. And we were talking about Afghanistan, also known as the graveyard of empires. And empires, not vampires. Okay. So then after, like, we kick butt at this brief. And then the XO, the major, he's one rank above me, right? He comes over and I think he's going to like compliment me. And he's like, Daniela, you can't say that. You can't say that to soldiers. I was like, sir, I tried a couple things. Like, we're not an empire, are we? Or are we admitting that we are? You know, but also, and then he just kept pushing. And like this man and I literally almost came to blows once because he wouldn't stop Jesusing me, and a captain, and I was a lieutenant, and a captain had to literally get in the middle and be like, sir, she's right, and she has legitimate religious trauma. Back off. Anyway. Oh, so it ends with me going, he's like, what do you think that does to morale? And I say something to the effect of, sir, with all due respect, I'm the intelligence officer, not the chaplain. We don't do morale. We do things that go boom and bump in the night. And as I said yesterday, and I'll continue to remind you, like, I'm a cult scholar. If I'm talking about it, it's bad. I had to tell people this in my life too. When I started deconstructing, they're like, we just don't like to talk about negative topics. I was like, all right, I don't do off limits topics because everything I talk about is bad. Like, that's my chosen field. I mean, they won't impeach him now. Like, y'all, like, we're not just going to sit here and quietly starve because the rest of the world won't trade with us anymore because our guy, like, there will be a tipping point. Until then, we need to pay attention to all the small things, and we need to try to help people that are already being affected and figure out ways to like limit what he's doing. And I think like our government is trying to figure that out. At least the Democratic government is trying to figure that out. But like, there will be a point, right? Middle school rules. They can't take us all at once. I didn't go to middle school, but I've been told. Fly into sunshine. I also have a chapter in that book called Interview with a Vampire. I mean, the tipping point is obviously not that they voted to deport American citizens, because we're still sitting in our homes on our smartphones. We're not rioting. Like, at some point we will riot, and it probably will be because we're hungry or our children are being unalived. It's like, unfortunately, white Americans are just too comfortable to risk anything. You'll talk to me about revolution and then be like, yeah, but people might get hurt. Yeah, everybody doesn't survive the revolution. Like, I literally wrote and researched about mass movements for the book. Like, I still don't know what the tipping point is. If I knew how to do it, it would be done. But at some point, food scarcity makes it happen hard, right? Everything goes out the window when people start starving. So, yeah, so I was, but like, here's the thing too, like, the whole society can kind of collapse at once, right? Because like, our income disparity has gotten so bad, but rich people haven't built walls around their castles, right? This was the most shocking thing to me, moving from Brazil, where I grew up, to the United States, was just like nice houses that you could just walk up to the front door. Like, that basically does not exist in Brazil. It's behind gates, sometimes armed, topped with glass bottles. As we were leaving in the 2000s, they were replacing them with electric wire at the top. Like, yeah, this is one of the things I predict, is like, walls are going to start going up around the rich neighborhoods. The gated communities are going to start protecting their riches more, because like, we're coming for your begonias. Did y'all know that begonias are edible? They're quite delicious, actually. I was thinking to myself, like, y'all say that I'm not scared, but I was like, okay, tap into your former semi-starved child, right? And remember how you survived it. And like, lots of things are edible. Mr. Knitting Cult Lady makes good. The other thing I said. So like almonds, right? We eat the nut, which is inside the core, which has a fruit around it. And that fruit is edible. And nobody tends to eat it because they're not starving. But I know that it's edible. Dandelions are edible. That weed that grows in people's yards, it's called plantain. Different from plantain the banana, but it's called plantain, and it's actually kind of like a superfood. But also, just like, we're going to go raid the farms, right? The farms don't have walls around them either, right? Like, America, that was one of the things. Like, I always said, I liked paying taxes in America after growing up in Latin America, because we have social systems that work. We had a larger middle class than anything else. Like, we had a balance. That's how it's supposed to be. We are now going into techno-feudalism. Like, that is what is happening. We're going to see larger and larger slum villages. They're trying to make a larger slum population because then they can have them work for slave wages in factory jobs, right? Like, America doesn't function without slave labor. Just our system doesn't work, because it's not how it's set up, and we've never fixed it. So, and partially I think she's like, that, like, this needed to happen to just get everything out into the open. Do have talks with Knitting Cult Baby about this. I mean, she's 9, but we talk to her at the level that we can. But y'all, begonia flowers, they're sour like limes. They're delicious. If you're neurodivergent, you will love them. And they go good in salads. If you're neurodivergent, you might love them. Yeah, they lower child labor laws. And again, like, this is one thing I did predict, even though I didn't call the election right. I was like, if they take over, they're going for child labor laws. Like, that's in the undertone about everything with the Amish. No, we just like to live in a quieter world. Yeah, where women and children weren't protected by labor laws. Cults are always about labor. We get so caught up in the what cults do that we never get to the why. And it's labor. It's always about labor. Every single time. They just made it so that 12-year-olds can work overnight in factories in Florida. Sorry, 14-year-olds. 12-year-olds can work full-time in agriculture, especially if they're brown. Like, it is bad. I've written all about that in Culting of America. Did what pass? Yeah, I think it passed in Florida. Yeah, we still treat women and children as property. Exactly, right? Like, oh, I was wearing that shirt today. It says America was not built to protect children. And of all my sassy t-shirts, that one was held in review for 3 days. Yeah, you know, it's always the children. It's my whole chapter on exploitation of labor. It's like this group exploits labor, especially the children. Mormons exploit labor, especially the children. Jehovah's Witnesses exploits labor, especially the children. Girl Scouts exploits labor, especially the children. U.S. Army exploits labor, especially the children. 17-year-olds. 17 was the major age of my summer basic training class. And, you know, corporate America exploits labor, especially the children. And then we talked about 4 industries that are really bad for exploitation of labor: childcare, performance, agriculture, and restaurants. But yeah, heavy heart. I mean, I think part of what we have to realize is just like, this could be the new normal. Mr. Knitting Cult out now. He is in class. He is finishing up his bachelor's degree. Yeah, I gotta go. Oh, the social media exploitation. Like, do we have to wait? Do we have to wait for a generation of YouTube kids to grow up and then write their horrific memoirs? Like, we couldn't have just put laws controlling it. Like, it makes me so mad. And he wants to be walked. It makes me so mad. And like, I was, you know, Knitting Cult Baby and I are doing like TikTok dance challenges now, except I won't do the Jesus one with her. And I was like, the whole time we're doing it, I'm like, this is so culty. She's like, no, stop it. But then I realized it. And I was like, because any of these videos, smiling, dancing children, any of them, you don't know if they want to be doing it or if they have to be doing it, unless you have more information about their lives. You know, and I had this, like I shared the end time rap video, which is me and 5 other white children rapping apocalypse Bible verses in downtown Rio. And somebody who's from like regular cult of evangelical churchianity was like, oh my gosh, I used to watch this growing up. And I always wondered like how they got you to do this. And it was such a like moment of cognitive dissonance for me, because I was like, they beat us and raped us and starved us, and getting to perform was like the only time we just got to kind of let go sometime, you know, like, but that's not what it looks like. It just looks like smiling, bouncing children. So like, I don't like it. That's why my musical's not gonna have children. We have adults in full black suits, like over their heads, like bodysuits, like doing puppets, because also cult children are puppets. Knitting Cult Baby is big mad that I won't let her be in my musical. And y'all, she rocked the house again last night with karaoke. And I think she might kind of be able to sing. So that's fun. Anyway, she can like modulate her voice and she can catch the oh. So anyway, all right, we got to go. He's got a meetup with his signal bros out by the bridge. He's got to be there plus or minus 30 seconds. Oh yeah, well, she's already going to get a writing credit, right? Because I have, so one of my songs is called Welcome to the Femme Internacional. And it's going to be kind of like, there's the girl performing the whole time, but it's going to be kind of like a Mormon I don't know what you all call it, Mormons, when you get your missionary assignment. I just call it a Mormon branching ceremony because then I have the Army's like branching ceremony. But everyone's gonna be like getting their little flag, and then they're gonna sing that line in the song that they're coming to. And then, they're gonna be like dancing around at some point with their little flags. But as I was saying, welcome to the Family International, Knitting Cult Baby goes, welcome to New York. It's like, oh my gosh. When they all have their flags, they're going to be like walking around in a little circle, like, welcome to the family. We've been waiting for you. Welcome to the family. Oh. Anyways. So now both my biological daughter and my adopted host daughter are getting like writing credits in my musical. So that's what we're doing. The play, the musical. That's what I'm doing for the summer. But like I have 15 days to get Culting of America done. So that's all I'm doing. So now that my talking to y'all times is over, I'll be back probably in 30 minutes, not on YouTube, to, read to the internet and edit things. Because that's my job. It's a hard job. Somebody's got to do it. Bye.